Maggy, Rozycki, Hiltner, Vantage Point. I am an artist and activist living in Red Lodge, Montana. In April 2014, I was selected to create a stitched installation for Mesa Contemporary Arts Museum's project room. As an embroidery artist, filling 72 linear feet of wall space with hand-stitched imagery would be my largest project to date. I began by designing an idealized landscape with big blue sky, green grass, and puffy white clouds. Researching ways of depicting cloud forms led me to thinking about clouds as water vapor, and then water vapor as greenhouse gas. And other clouds, volcanic plumes, mushroom clouds, emissions from factories and puffs rising from the cooling towers of nuclear reactors, these drew my attention as well. My previous work centered on intimate figurative narratives, Dick and Jane-style kids in semi-autobiographical scenes from my childhood. I was raised in Pennsylvania, the land of coal and steel and industrial waste. The more I researched, the more I knew I had to include pollution, both seen and unseen, from my personal landscape. I grew up in the 10-mile evacuation radius of Limerick Generating Station, a nuclear power plant in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. The Limerick cooling towers could be seen from the windows of my middle school classrooms. My friends and I swam in the bathtub warm water downstream from the power plant. The Schuylkill River, once dubbed America's foulest river, was cleaned up in the 40s and 50s. This meant the coal silt was dredged from the river and dumped in an area neighborhood kids would later call the Black Desert. After a day of riding our bikes through the Black Desert, my brother and I had to hose off the black silt before we'd be allowed back in the house. And on Thanksgiving trips to Grandma's, my father would make a short detour through Centralia so the family could check on the eerie progress of the underground coal fire that has been burning there since 1962. I stitched these natural and man-made disasters into my landscape and continued my research. Maps and illustrations drew me to include portolan lines and vanishing points, adding movement and linear design elements and poking fun at my tendency towards super-flat representation. I included found embroidery cut from countless tablecloths, handkerchiefs, and dresser scarves found in junk stores and yard sales. And I generated a list of terms and places picked up from the headlines, news stories, and my research. This stitched text became a news ticker above and below, informing the scenes. I stitched panels that highlighted issues specific to the venue, Arizona-specific imagery featuring the border wall, images of copper mines, and even unexplained phenomena in the skies above the state. Like all my artwork, this piece leaves space for a bit of humor. It is not a polemic, it is the subversive stitch. In this traditional women's work, the seemingly innocuous medium of fabric and stitching sets the stage for much deeper exploration of environmental issues and social ills. I included references to art history and even a tiny self-portrait. The world I made is still beautiful, but the impact of human consumption and waste is everywhere. The resulting piece, 276 square feet of hand-stitched embroidery collage, traveled from Mesa Contemporary to other venues across the country, changing shape to fit each one. I travel to the exhibitions to help hang the artwork and give an artist talk, and often teach an embroidery collage workshop. With this piece, I hope to get viewers to think about environmental issues, and I want them to think about the capacity of the simple, familiar act of embroidery for expression. This particular venue was of interest to me because it was a public space, a subway station with thousands of commuters passing through it every day. To have a viewer find the art in their space rather than seek it out in an art institution was really powerful. Then in 2018, I stitched an additional 39 linear feet to make the piece site-specific for the Hiltner Art Museum in Helena, Montana, and the piece traveled on. Encompassing over 425 square feet, Vantage Point is a completely hand-stitched modular installation that uses found embroidery as well as my own. Its materials and construction evoke discussion of the value of women's domestic labor and the capacity of an artist's hand. The size and content of Vantage Point drive it out of the home and into the world of contemporary art and political discourse. Recurring or ever-present events keep it relevant and timely, as well as being a historical record. Issues around the world and even in space are addressed, but this landscape is a bright and often dismal fantasy with no true geography. As Vantage Point travels, different imagery resonates with that particular location. Visitors at a venue that was devastated by Hurricane Michael in 2018 expressed an affinity to the delicate embroidered depiction of the swirling winds. A catalog and glossary of terms accompanies the exhibit, connecting the art to current and historical environmental issues and providing research sources for the content. Museums and galleries have used Vantage Point as a teaching opportunity, offering embroidery workshops for children and adults, as well as docent tours of the piece. My goal is to encourage discussion and contemplation and hopefully action on the issues showcased in the work, and to cultivate an appreciation for the expressive possibilities of embroidery. My plan is for Vantage Point to continue to travel and grow as needed, and to eventually find a permanent home in a public museum collection. Comprehensive information and images of the work can be seen at my website or by searching Maggy Hiltner Vantage Point. You'll see more in-progress shots as well as press and postings directly from Vantage Point's previous venues. Thank you, and please feel free to contact me through the website with any questions or comments.